Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Office Bloke Aidan.
If you've not subscribed, if you don't mind just giving it a shot and all that kind of stuff, grow with us. More college stuff to come, which we've got more sports stuff, but a lot of college stuff will be coming. We're actually heading to the USA this week. We're going to be heading down to the Nashville area, Birmingham, Alabama, Kentucky to do Thanksgiving, but we will be heading to a college football game, which will be the Tennessee Volunteers against Vanderbilt. Last game, both bobbins, both rubbish, I think.
Are you going to do Tennessee like that? What are you saying? Tennessee are rubbish?
Yeah, they're not doing very well this season.
Well, they're not the worst.
No, they're not the worst, but they're not the best neither. But at the same time, it's a good experience for us to get into a college football game. So it'll be good to see. Either way, we're going for the atmosphere more.
Yeah, I'm very, very fascinated by stadiums as well.
Same. Which takes
us onto this one as well.
The 10 most underrated college football stadiums.
Yeah, I do love a good underrated stadium because
what would you say the most underrated stadium we've been to is?
Leicester. Not in terms of atmosphere, in terms of
size and style,
size and the way it looks, and because you have little balconies inside the place you have your drinks and stuff. But because well, go on, what were you going to say?
I think Arsenal Stadium's a bit underrated.
I feel like it's rated highly though.
It's quite a good stadium, but it doesn't get the praise it should get, I don't think. But it's the only downside with Arsenal is it's just a little bit flat and goes out.
Yeah, if someone's
someone's taller than me, which I had. Do you remember I was walking down the street and there was a guy in front of me about 7 foot. I went, he'll be sat in front of me at the game. And sure enough, he was. What are the chances?
Yeah. Anyway, should we check out the underrated college football stadiums?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official top 10 underrated
college
football stadiums of 2023, where I go through my top 10 and talk about some stadiums that I do think aren't talked about a lot.
If that's real,
it could
pretty
be a number
sick,
of different reasons. Maybe the team is not good, so the stadium never hosts big games. Maybe it's an FCS stadium. We're going to go through my top 10, beginning with number 10, and it is the Yale Bowl. Yes, I love the way
not really a fan of a bowl.
This stadium is built directly into the ground, and you can kind of see the grass going up. Like when you walk up to the stadium, it's just so unique because it's partially built into the ground. And you also do have a decent capacity with the Yale Bowl, really good, especially for Ivy League. But I do think this stadium,
it just doesn't it's just bland. It looks like an ancient Rome gladiator stadium.
Yeah, but that's what you want sometimes in a stadium. I think that adds a bit of character when you've got that gladiator sort of
and also the stadium's too big compared to the bloody size of the screen on the end.
Do you know the other side of it as well is and
I feel like that's another one how you describing Arsenal. I feel like if you're stood behind someone that's really tall, you're not going to be able to see in that stadium as well.
One question I've got here: these Ivy League colleges like Yale, Harvard, Princeton, places are they any good at sport?
I wouldn't have
heard of Yale being
the top sportsmen aren't going to Yale or Harvard for sport.
Probably not.
Do you know what I mean?
Probably not.
So they're not going to have the best.
Yeah,
sport.
they're academic. It's
exactly.
an academic college,
people that want to be smart people go there.
Yeah. But you can also be smart and be a sportsman.
No, I know, but you'd go to the top sports school, not the top education school.
Yeah, but they probably make with the college. What I'm asking is, the size of the stadium. You must have something there. Do you know what I mean? Who are they playing?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It just looks It just looks very bland to me. There's nothing around it or anything.
Yeah,
where would you tailgate for that? Doesn't seem like a good spot.
They've probably got mansions with massive
in the
yards.
Hogwarts dorm rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a world where Yale was actually a good team and they could easily expand it and add on more seating and add on suites and things like that. It's pretty crazy to think about, but just its location in Connecticut, I really do like it. So the Yale Bowl kind of frozen in time. It looks virtually identical as it did in the early 1900s, like most Ivy League stadiums. I do like it. And it comes in at number 10 on my underrated stadiums, obviously. I mean, has College Game Day ever went to the Yale Bowl? They should go there once. It's a very nice stadium. Moving on to number 9, it is Falcon Stadium. Home of Air Force. Now, this stadium, I don't know if Air Force is going to be hosting a big game this year, but I do think they're probably going to be undefeated.
The Air Force have a football team, like the Army and the Navy?
I'm assuming they do. Mostly, it's like a big bragging thing, isn't it, to have the armed forces, to have your sports teams across the world. In anything, we have a great boxing team in the British Armed Forces.
Really?
Yeah, all the armed forces, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, all have a boxing team, and they're all very good.
No, you'd imagine they are good at combat, wouldn't
they? Late in the season and a top 25 team. Amazing location for this stadium, and it is getting a huge renovation, which is going to make it better. But this stadium, it's not right next to a mountain range, but it's near one, and you can kind of see the mountains in the outskirts of it. It's just a great vibe. And Air Force, the Colorado Air, where it's located. I don't know. I really like it. When it comes to the actual stadium itself, I mean, let's be honest. You can tell the thing needs to be renovated. Kind of an old design there, but I just like the location. And then obviously, nobody really talks about Air Force. I'm sure a lot of college football fans don't even know the stadium name. Yes, it is Falcon Stadium. It's a pretty cool name, but Air Force for me comes in at number 9 in most underrated stadiums, mainly due to its location, and especially once it gets the renovation, it's going to be very underrated. Moving on to number 8, it is McLane Stadium. So, relatively new one here, home of Baylor. This one's about 10 years old at this point. Baylor moving out of their old stadium. Kind of surprising. Normally we see college teams just renovate their old stadium over and over and over again. But Baylor built an entirely new one.
That looks mint, but that's why you want the Colts Stadium to be. It looked like a horseshoe, didn't it? From above.
The Colts Stadium?
Yeah. If that was a Colts Stadium, I'm mint with that big, with that roof like that.
Oh, right, yeah, I get what
like
you mean.
a horseshoe.
Yeah.
Right?
If that goes like all the way around, it looks like the Real Madrid Stadium from there.
Yeah, could be.
If you know what I mean.
If that was a full like...
went all the way around.
Yeah.
Well, like a football stadium.
Just as a stadium like looks mint. Look at it. I wonder how many that holds.
Should tell us, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
67
over and over and over again, but Baylor built an entirely new one. But Baylor did decide to build a brand new one right next to water. It's a very nice vibe. The stadium itself kind of looks like a horseshoe, but they did surprisingly leave one of the end zones open on purpose. I would imagine if Baylor would have been, this great team like they were in 2014, 2015 with Art Briles and Bryce Petty, if they would have continued on that trajectory, they might have done a renovation where they would have closed the entire stadium off and put more seats in. But because Baylor's kind of fallen off, I mean, they had a few good years. Matt Rule turned them around.
Texas, right?
Don't know what. Is that Texas flag in the back? On the right? I think you could be right.
Baylor Bears. Let me see.
I think you could be right with Texas because that looks like a Texas flag in the back. What is it called? The John Summit Stadium.
Waco, Texas.
Waco. Okay. The only thing I remember about Waco was more famous for me for the issue with David Koresh and the guy who the Waco siege.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but is that actually felt like making like the stadium a bit smaller because the team's not as good?
Well, you're not gonna. You want the atmosphere, so you want it to be full. You want it to be full, don't you? There's nothing worse than going to. We've been in stadiums before where they're half empty.
Oh yeah.
City stadiums always half empty. When we go,
empty seats
at home. And but when you go, there's nothing worse than going to a stadium that's half empty and you hear it echoing. You want somewhere where the atmosphere is going to be vibrant, bouncing, everyone squashed in, sort of thing, full to the capacity, whatever you've got. Yeah. So that's probably what they're getting at.
And you can see
right
the
now,
walls,
they're
and
kind
that's
of like
cute.
a 500 Big 12 team. That end of the stadium is still completely open. I guess it does a good job in terms of letting one side of the stadium breathe.
The grass is just
but
so
normally,
green.
when you're talking about building a new stadium, you're going to want to build the entire thing. You're not going to leave one of the ends open, so that is kind of surprising. But I do like the exterior, and it's just so unique to see a college team, especially a Power 5 team, build a brand new stadium. It almost never happens. Again, it's normally just renovating the old stadium. And this stadium, it does present itself well from the outside and from aerial shots. It's very solid. It's got smaller sections. That's kind of the approach they took. So even if Baylor's not doing too well, they're not selling out, you're not dealing with looking at a grotesque, massive wall of empty seats because they are smaller sections. But you want to know another thing about Baylor? It always seems like they play 11 a.m. home games. It really does. I mean, I do remember that one game. I think Oklahoma had Jalen Hurts. Remember, Baylor was destroying Oklahoma. That was a night game. And then Oklahoma, they were winning like 34-7. And that was when I really didn't like Oklahoma. I was honestly rooting against them. And Jalen Hurts came back and won that game. That was with Lincoln Riley. That was a joke. But yeah, this is a solid stadium.
It sounds like you're still angry about that.
And it does get relatively loud. Also, they do have a nice little overhang to protect some of the fans from I mean, I guess it would be more so the sun. Being in Texas, they don't get much precipitation there, but it is kind of strange that they just have a grass area behind the one end zone. I mean, this was just built. Either way, it comes in at number 8. At number 7, it is Harvard Stadium, the Coliseum. Yes, I love Harvard Stadium. It is frozen in time. There's been no renovations or no crazy renovations to it for the last like 70 or 80 years. It's funny because they used to have it fully closed off and there was a bigger capacity, but they've since removed all of those seats from the one end zone, so now it just looks like a giant horseshoe, similar to Ohio Stadium without the student section level, and then obviously without the upper deck. Imagine a renovation onto this thing, though. I mean, the exterior of it, you can see the columns. It does look like the little arches, a Roman Colosseum. Very, very cool if they ever decided to expand on this. Obviously, they're not going to because it is Harvard. They're not going to draw that much outside of the Harvard-Yale annual rivalry, but I do think it is a very cool stadium.
It's like the boat race, isn't it?
Harvard-Yale
That'll 100% be like a boat race over here, Cambridge and Oxford, right?
That's funny.
There's no one's like, it used to be a big thing, the Oxford-Cambridge boat race, but now it's like just like, everyone's like, what even is it?
Man, yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you can get all the sports on TV. Yeah, because it used to be, when we were younger, it was up, you used to get like, not many channels for TV. So they used to show every sport they used to put on TV, that's what you'd watch.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, and every year they'd show the annual boat race between Oxford and Cambridge. Now I don't even think you cover it anymore. Yeah, no. It's like nothing now, it's dead. But imagine saying, oh yeah, I went to Harvard, what did you do? I was the running back for the... You'd be like, okay,
Jesus Christ,
really fit perfectly, but that's kind of the charm of it. I mean, it's very, very old, and it hasn't received
Harvard
any major renovation. So Harvard Stadium comes in at number 7. At number 6, it's Kid Brewer Stadium.
Cool.
This is home of Appalachian State. So the reason this is here, well, there's actually a few different reasons. Number 1, obviously location. It's located right next to a forest, rolling hills, mountainous terrain. I love the contrast of stadiums when they're right next to a dense forest. I just love that. And then also, this is a stadium that has received several renovations over the past 10 to 15 years, including a nice new end zone renovation. But obviously, when you look at aerial photos of this stadium,
like a cricket stadium, look, isn't it?
Appalachian State's baseball stadium, basically fully surrounded by a forest. When the leaves turn and... fall hits, it is gorgeous. It's unbelievable. That's why, I mean, imagine App State was ranked like in the top 10 and College Game Day went there when the leaves were turning. I mean, that would just be crazy, but it is a solid stadium. It's mainly on this list, though, because of the location, and it is Kid Brewer Stadium. A lot of people probably don't even know that. That is the name of the stadium. It comes in at number 6.
No idea.
At number 5, it is the Sun Bowl. That's the name of it, and that's what it hosts because it does host a bowl that's called the Sun Bowl. You can take a look at it. Basically, right within the side of a mountain. Really sweet location. It gets a ton of sun, and the seating configuration kind of reminds me of a smaller.
So what? This stadium only hosts a game between them two teams.
Yeah, it's great.
What?
That joke went over your head, didn't it? Yeah. Tony the Tiger. Frosties. That was a phrase what you used to say, they're great.
Oh, I've never heard of that one. Never seen the adverts.
Wasted.
But I don't understand where, because they're far away from each other.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. He didn't say, but it's inside of a mountain somewhere, but I don't know where. It could be anywhere, couldn't it?
That's just weird to have a stadium just specifically for them two teams to play against each other. Or like, there's host multiple things.
Yeah, it's coast to coast almost, isn't it?
Lane Stadium, although it is fully closed off. Just looking at it, there's really nothing special about the seating. It's more so the location, where it is, and the sun beating down onto the stadium.
It's got a different thing in the end zone.
Was it the Sun Bowl or another one? Wasn't there a 10 a.m. game played there? I don't know if it was the Sun Bowl that was played at 10 a.m., but there was a game, I vividly remember it. It might not have been at the Sun Bowl. You know what, guys?
Didn't we do like a GeoGuessr on stadiums, and one of them was Miners Stadium? And it said something about miners, and we were like, what was that? We never even heard of it. And I think it'd be interesting to do them now, the GeoGuessr for the stadiums.
Yeah.
Because something we know a little bit more about now, but I wasn't sure if it was the Miners Stadium. Remember we were going down like side roads, there was nothing there. It was proper dead. And we saw a sign saying miners, and we were like, don't even know where that could be. And I think we ended up going
I didn't think the stadium was this big, though.
No, for some reason, you might be right. It was a smaller stadium, I don't know, but miners. I'd have thought miners might have been somewhere in like Denver or, I don't know, to do with the gold mines and stuff like that. Maybe that's what that is as well, El Paso, I don't know.
As I'm not sure. Well, now, you know what? We've got 10 a.m. games happening all over the place with Big Noon going to Colorado every week. But I do remember there was a college football game that was 10 a.m. local time, and it blew my mind. I'm like, what are we doing?
Right.
You can literally see the shadows on the field, but it's not because the sun's going down. It's because the sun's coming up. What are we doing here? It's crazy. But no, this stadium is very nice, the location of it. You know, you walk like a half a mile outside of it, and it's just nothing. That's
so it belongs to the stadium to the University of El Paso.
Yeah.
So the Sun Bowl doesn't get a lot of love. It comes in at number 5.
It's
and it
it's a
hosts
shocking name.
UTEP home games. Of course, UTEP's been completely irrelevant recently, so it's not going to get much love. At number 4, it is Boone Pickens Stadium. So, yeah, this is on basically everyone's list when it comes to underrated stadiums. When you look at it on the interior, it doesn't necessarily present amazing, but it has a beautiful brick exterior. And even the interior of it, there's no upper deck to it. It's just a massive bowl, you know, going all the way around outside of that one end zone. And then you kind of have 2 or 3 sections of suites and club seating on top of that. Super unique. There's not another stadium that's designed like this in college football. And they do have a great home atmosphere. When it comes to their one end zone where there's no seating, I'm not the biggest fan of that design. It is a literal building, which is kind of cool because you can look out through those windows and stuff, but just the way they have it set up, the building really doesn't fit. Now, obviously, they're really not going to renovate it because that would cost so much money, literally knocking down that building and then rebuilding up an entire custom-fit seating area to close off the stadium. But that's what I would do, honestly, because I'm not a big fan of that building, kind of the way it just doesn't fit within the stadium at all. It seems like it's its own unit, and I'm not a fan of that when it comes to stadiums. But Boone Pickens is beautiful, and it does get extremely loud, and the design of it being a lower bowl, especially for Oklahoma State. You know, Oklahoma State, they're not a huge school, but they're also big enough to where you do need a bigger stadium. So really good design there at number 4. At number 3, it is Nippert Stadium, home of Cincinnati. Very small stadium, but they did a great job on this design, and they recently renovated it. I just love the way this stadium fits into the campus of Cincinnati. It seems like, based on how big it is, it just fits like a glove. And the expansion they recently did, the new suites they put up, to me, they look beautiful. That's a stadium that's virtually always going to sell out because of its lower capacity. But it also has the ability to get very loud. Cincinnati, they had their run a few years ago where they made the playoff. They had some big-time home games here, I think against UCF, where it got very loud. It is a place that can get raucous even with the low capacity. And again, even when Cincinnati's bad, it's not like you're dealing with tons of empty seats because they've limited the capacity down to about, under 50,000. It's one of the 10 smallest stadiums in the Power 5 level right now, and it comes in at number 3 on underrated stadiums just based off of the way it's built in, the shape of it, it fits, and it comes off very clean to me and easily digestible. Moving on to number 2, it is Michie Stadium. Yes, home of Army. And this stadium, I just love the location of it being right on the water. And then the other side, you've got the beautiful contrast of a straight forest area.
Where do they get the fans? Like, who's an Army's fan? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
from West Point University. Or the university, I don't know if it's called West Point University, it's called West Point. And I think it's in upstate.
So if you're just from the area?
Is it upstate New York? You have to let me know. I think it's upstate New York.
What's he saying? You probably spot them if you're from the area?
To be students from the college. To be, ex-alumni, people who were in that college, who were in West Point. I think it's like an army. It's
like an army school?
It's for the army, yeah, to go to it's a college for the army, yeah. Which is, but I think it's, I might be wrong with upstate New York. I've got a feeling it's upstate New York, but I'm not sure.
You're really not going to see that with any other team when it comes to college football stadiums now. The stadium itself is another one, just like Air Force. It's getting a big-time renovation. It was just announced. Army, I believe, is going to be joining the American Conference. They're going from being an independent. That should be announced at some point as well. But just the stadium and the location of it, very low-key. It presents extremely well. And then the beautiful contrast, surrounded by water on the one side, and then you do have a forest area kind of going around it. I really like that one. It comes in at number 2 on underrated stadiums. And then at number 1, it is Federal Credit Union Stadium, home of Louisville, believe it or not. So this is probably the most.
Isn't that like the exact same?
We're going Kentucky on Thursday for Thanksgiving.
But isn't that like the exact same like logo as the Cardinals?
Yeah.
For the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, but it's a cardinal. It's a bird, isn't it?
But it's the exact same logo.
No, but if the Louisville Cardinals, what you're going to do? Show if you call the Louisville Cardinals, you can't show a.
Could have changed up a little bit. You don't have to.
Yeah,
I know, but you don't have to show the exact same thing.
But if you're the
Cardinals, could have had the body on it as.
I don't know if.
It's like the Tigers, the LSU and Grizzly are not the same. Do you know what I mean?
Hear me out a minute. The Cardinals from St. Louis, right? Is St. Louis in Kentucky or St. Louis in Missouri?
Missouri.
I think isn't it one of them towns that's like right on the border, St. Louis?
Isn't it like both?
So if it could be, I think
I would
you have to correct me on
though.
this. My US geography is not great, but I've got a feeling that St. Louis could be a town that's on the border of Missouri and Kentucky.
Like Kansas City?
Correct. Sort of thing.
Right.
Something like that. I might be wrong.
What's your point with this?
But I'm thinking, is that the state bird? The cardinal. So you'd have a Louisville Cardinal, but you'd also have a St. Louis Cardinal.
But then you have an Arizona Cardinal.
Oh, Arizona. But have they always been in Arizona?
I don't know.
Or were they in Kentucky?
I don't know.
That's the question, you see. But Louisville.
But it's just the exact same logo as the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, it is. But we're going to Kentucky on Thursday for Thanksgiving. So I'm wondering if we could swing by that stadium, because we're not far from Louisville. Just have a look from the outside. I know we won't go in because it's Thanksgiving. Everywhere's going to be closed. But the other thing is...
Can hop a fence.
I also want to try and get to Churchill Downs if I can. So see that as well.
Relevant bigger stadium in college football. I seriously have rarely ever heard this stadium get talked about, and it's just a cool design.
You can see the
behind
teeth
one
on
of the
it,
end
actually.
zones, the way it kind of arches up. It's got one upper deck, it's got a bigger lower bowl. The only thing that I don't like about it is the overhang. The white overhang on the one side is really obnoxious. It doesn't look very good, but this is a bigger stadium that gets extremely loud, and no one really talks about it. So it's kind of interesting to see that, but I think it's very underrated. And believe it or not, Louisville is hosting Notre Dame this week, so we'll see how loud it actually gets. But I do like this stadium. And also you have the bright red seats to match the color. You've kind of got the seating design in the one end zone to match the logo. It just looks really cool to me, and nobody talks about it. Literally no one. It is a bigger stadium, but it is kind of irrelevant when it comes to college football. And it's also relatively new, and they've recently done renovations. This thing opened in 1998. So for a college football stadium, that's very new, just to build a brand new stadium. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X.
But the question on that, or the thing to say on that is, I was looking at games, staying in Nashville, I was thinking what games we could go and see for a college football game when we're there. And I know we're going up to Kentucky to go to, but there's a game on the Saturday, I think. We're going up on the Thursday. I think there's a game on the Saturday. Which team is I think the logo is a blue K. Is that Kentucky?
Kentucky Wildcats.
Is that Kentucky? And that's so it's probably two teams from the same state playing each other.
Isn't Kentucky like a U and a K?
It could be a U and a K. Is it blue?
Yeah.
I saw the logos playing each other. I'm sure there's a game there this Saturday. But we chose to go to the Volunteers instead, the Tennessee Volunteers in Knoxville. So, but yeah, it'd be good to see these stadiums up close and personal.
It will be, yeah.
Yeah, but that was good. That interesting.
Yep.
Some crazy stadiums on there though. College stadium.
Right.
I absolutely love it, mate. Love seeing
some of them are very nice.
Yeah. If anyone's got a recommendation for any other videos for college stadiums, let us know, because I tell you what, I just love seeing stadiums like that.
Yeah, same.
Brilliant. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for the Depressed Ginger for showing us around all the stadiums. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.